I've saved my changes as screenwithswatches.ai found inside the O2 workspace folder. In this exercise, I'm going to show you how to rearrange your panels so that you have the most important panels in Illustrator CS5 ready and waiting within easy reach. And I'm going to start by moving brushes and symbols. I like both of those panels, however, I don't use them nearly as much as swatches. So I'm going to move brushes by dragging its tab over into this single column area that I initiated using the Navigator panel. But I don't want to group it with Navigator and Info. I want it to appear in its own independent cubby, if you will. So I'm going to drag it to the top, like so. So I see a horizontal blue line, and I'll drop it into place. And now I have brushes by itself, just the icon, because I went ahead and reduced this column of panels to icons, like so. Now I'll grab symbols, and I'll drag it into the brushes cubby. So you can see I have a blue rectangle around that brushes icon, drop symbols into place, and I've got symbols as well represented by that club. Now swatches, normally I would keep it independent, but I don't have that much room on the screen. So I'm going to have to group it along with color and color guide. Usually it's nice to have swatches independent so you can drag and drop items from color or color guide into it. But as I say, I'm going to put it up here. Up to you what you do. All right, so now I have those guys grouped together, as you can see. So just keep an eye on those blue outlines. They tell you what you're doing. I'll go ahead and drag this boundary upward so that I'm devoting less room to swatches and more room to layers and artboards. And I'm also going to drag my appearance panel right at this location down into layers and artboards so that it shares a palette. And this isn't the order I want. I don't want layers, artboard, appearance. I want layers, appearance, artboard. So I'll drag this tab over to the left slightly, and then I'll click on layers once again. And as you'll see, these panels, layers, appearance, and artboard, are very important panels inside of Illustrator. Very useful indeed. I'm going to go ahead and grab graphic styles and throw it here along with brushes and symbols. And I want it to appear under symbols, so I won't drop it at this location. That would put it between brushes and symbols as indicated by that horizontal blue line. I'll drag it down like so. And now we have them in the order I like them, brushes, symbols, and graphic styles. Now, it's not essential that you adjust the order of these panels. I'm just doing that because I figure I want to get everything exactly right before I save off my custom workspace, which is what we're going to do in the next exercise. So if you're going to the trouble of creating a custom workspace, you might as well make it exactly what you want it to be. All right, next what I'm going to do is I'm going to collapse the transparency panel by double-clicking on this empty gray area to the right of it. So you used to just click inside of Illustrator CS4. Now you double-click, and that goes ahead and collapses that panel like so. And then I'm going to drag this horizontal divider line upward. The next thing I want to do is I want to go with larger layers icons here. Right now we just have these tiny itty-bitty icons, and I think we can do better than that, even on a small screen like this one here. So I'll go over to this flyout panel menu icon right there, click on it, and I'll choose panel options way at the bottom of the menu. And then I'll switch either to large, but that doesn't really give you that large of icons. And you can experiment with that if you like. I'm going to switch to other, and I generally go with about 75 pixels. Then click OK, and now you have some big previews to work with. So you have a sense of what's really on each one of those layers. And we'll see how outrageously useful this panel is in the future. All right, a few other panels that I want to bring up. I'm going to go up to the window menu, and I'm going to choose Pathfinder. And that brings up Transform, Align, and Pathfinder as a group. I'm going to go ahead and drag the entire group either by dragging this empty gray area to the right of the word Pathfinder or by dragging the dark gray bar at the top. And I'm going to drop these guys into place right between these two panel cubbies so that they appear right there. So I'm going from graphic styles, just to give you a sense of what's going on, down to the next group, which begins with Transform. And then I'll go up to the window menu, and I want to bring up a couple of other things. Way down here, at the bottom of the list, I want to choose Type, and then I'll choose Character. Or I could press Control-T, Command-T on the Mac to bring up the Character panel, which also includes Paragraph and OpenType. These are very useful for editing type inside of Illustrator. I'll go ahead and drag this dark bar and drop it at this location here in order to create yet another new group. And there's one more group I want to add. I'll go up to the window menu, and I'll choose Attributes, which for me is located way at the top here. And this is a strange little panel that you don't use very often, but every once in a while it comes in handy. I'm going to expand it by clicking on this tiny icon to the left of the word A couple of times. The first click will reduce the size of the panel, then the second click expands it. And I'll drag this group over to this location right there. So just below OpenType, as you can see. And notice that it starts with document info, and then we see attributes. I really want to add info to that group because it doesn't really belong with Navigator, in my opinion. So I'll drag the eye in a circle up the list until it's inside this cubby, but it's above. In other words, it's not in the middle someplace. It's above like so. Drop it, and now I have the eye in a circle, the eye on the page, and whatever the heck that darn thing is. All right, now that I have my panels set up exactly the way I want them to be, I'm going to save off a custom workspace in the next exercise.